She grew up in the home of pickleball, so pickleball was destined to be a part of her story. A story that has only just begun. Joining me from sunny San Diego, her name is Lucah. This is the Pickle with Mickle interview series 0 Start. Hello, here we are on the Pickle with Mickle interview series, and I am super excited to have Lucah Folden with me on the court. She just got off the court, folks, and you can see dedication is, I don't know if it's her middle name, but it should be, in the car after some training. We're going to get to that first, of course. Lucah, how are you? I can't believe you just trained. You look great. You got just, what is that, just like a after pickle glow?
Yeah, exactly that. You know, the sun, it does wonders.
Well, and you're in a wonderful place, San Diego right now, is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I've been here about 7 weeks now, so really enjoying the concept of still being able to be outside in the sun, still getting those UV rays, you know, this far into November and through the winter. So it's been really nice so far. Not only the weather, but the people, the community, the lifestyle, kind of just getting settled in.
Yeah, there's not too many other places that are as just awesome as San Diego can be. So now I'm a little jealous, but that's okay because hey, I'm kind of jealous about the whole thing you got going on, and we've got to start like we were talking about a little before the show. You were just right here out in Pickle Zona, and that's where we first met. We got moment of silence, folks, for the Pickle Mall. Lucah and I first met at Pickle Mall. Now there's no Pickle Mall anymore.
We'll be
But
back.
let's get back. Let's get back to where you were, and that was out there, Arizona Athletic Grounds. It was nationals. Talk to me about it. It was your first time at that kind of an event, and from what I hear, it was certainly a great event this year around. But I want to hear your experience. How did you play? Talk about the whole thing for me, and then we want to go back a little bit. But go ahead, nationals just this past weekend, and tell me about it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was my first experience at nationals. I've only been, I think my first official tournament in the United States, I guess, which we'll get to later, was last August. So had the year kind of figured out what tournaments I wanted to look at. New nationals was something I wanted to do. A lot of people around me last year went, and so ended up qualifying at the Mesa tournament back in April with Will Schaefer, and that's who I ended up playing with at nationals as well. So it was a really great experience. It definitely lived up to expectations. I wish I would have gotten to watch a little bit more of the pro matches, but it was pretty neat getting to reconnect with everybody from Arizona who, you know, I was friends with and drilled with and trained with, and just my community there. And then at the same time, getting to see people from here in San Diego at the local park I play at. They were cheering me on in some of my matches, asking me how it went. They got to play as well. So it's cool just like how quickly you can get connected in this community. So a big event like that from USA Pickle that brings everybody together, I think, was neat for those reasons. And then just the experience, like every tournament, you gain something from, whether it be wins or losses. And I think I hadn't competed. My last tournament was in July, so I had been out of the tournament zone for a couple months, and it was good to be back. And I definitely still am learning things about myself from tournament to tournament, but really enjoyed that whole experience at nationals. And having my mom fly from Washington and come and watch me was pretty special.
That is pretty awesome. And so we're in San Diego now, but we hail from Washington. We'll talk about that and kind of thing. Isn't that right? Because that's where you had gone back to there and then you came back down here for just the tournament. But is San Diego gonna be base camp now? Are we Pickle San Diego now?
Yeah, we are. I have this tendency to kind of jump around a bit. And Washington is the home base, I guess, where I grew up, where my family is. Tested Arizona out. That could have been where I settled, but I just, sometimes you just got to go with your heart, and if something feels right or not right, just kind of follow that. And so I decided that wasn't quite going to be where I wanted to settle down. I had heard great things about San Diego. Didn't really know anybody here, just a couple names. And that was the same case when I moved to Arizona. So I really wasn't too worried about getting connected. I kind of just go at things as and everything's gonna work out type of mentality. But I think I'm already off the bat feeling like San Diego is somewhere that I could actually see myself settling down for more than the at least 9 months that I've been bouncing around from different places.
Well, very cool. And like you said, hey, the weather supports pickleball. I think we can support pickleball just about anywhere. But if you got to be in California, San Diego, I think is the place to be. Let's go back to that Nationals experience. Shout out to my guy, Will Schaefer. You got to play with him. You guys qualified together. Did you just play mixed?
Yeah.
Did you play doubles as well? Did you do singles or was it just the mixed?
I just played mixed. I didn't play any women's at that tournament that I qualified at, and I've just kind of had a little bit of. I haven't been super ambitious in seeking out women's partners. It's a little bit tough, especially moving around and stuff, and I just didn't want to put a bunch of pressure on myself necessarily. So just kept it easy, kept it with mixed. I've kind of taken some time off of singles since about March, just really working on my doubles game, having a huge focus there. I don't come from tennis, and so the singles, I mean, it really is a different game. So I'll come back to singles when I feel confident in a two-handed backhand drive, so I don't keep getting
Got to work on
waxed by these
got
tennis
to work
swings.
on that too. You got to have it, and it's a vital weapon in doubles as well. But hey, I mean, focusing on the mixed game, focusing on even women's doubles. Now you're getting plugged back into where you're going to be for a little bit. And you mentioned before the community, and here we are talking, and we wouldn't have ever met without pickleball. And so I think that's what's so awesome is you'll get there, you'll find the women who suit your game, who you want to play with, who have that same kind of vibe on the court, and before you know it out there dominating in your next tournament. So let's go back all the way back to how did this pickleball thing even start for Lucah? What was your athletic background growing up? It doesn't hurt to be in the state where the sport was born for crying out loud, but I don't know if that had anything to do with it. You tell me.
Yeah, it totally does. Pickleball is it's pretty heartfelt to me for a few reasons. One being that I've been playing since I was 5 years old. And that really does come from the fact that the
That's
sport
very
was
cool.
created in Washington. Yeah. So my grandparents, I'm 22 now. So in 2007, I was 5. That's when my grandparents started playing. And looks like I got some sun coming in here. Sorry about that. And so yeah, I played recreationally with them growing up, almost every year. I was competitive in soccer, softball, and basketball for pretty much my entire life,
Triple
starting
threat.
ages 3, 4, and 5. So that took up the most of my time. It was just sports in school, and played the select teams through middle school and high school, and would just kind of pop in, play pickleball a lot in the summers, which is when I would have most of my free time. But it was always a part of my life, and my grandparents always played. They still do play. My grandfather's 84 now, or maybe 85, and my grandma's about to turn 80, and they still dominate out there. And
That's
so their
so
friends got
awesome.
to watch me grow up playing. But yeah, you're exactly right. Those other sports, the eye-hand coordination you get from softball, athletic, just movement and ability and strength from basketball and soccer, all of those were, beneficial to me then and still now. And then it wasn't until I played a year of college soccer at a college about 20 minutes north of Seattle, but because of COVID, things didn't end up working out there. So then I found myself for the first time in my life not being on a team and not having an organized sport, which meant more time to go to the local courts. And that's, I kind of just threw myself into the community there, started playing more against higher level players, playing singles, which did end up helping my doubles game. And then that following summer, I realized the power of drilling and actually training certain shots, not just playing a bunch of
Yeah.
rec. And so then from then on, that's when the rest of it kind of took off.
Very cool and perfect segue. Did that all by yourself is, I mean, you just got finished training. And I always ask the folks who play and certainly play at a higher level than I do, because it's so important. If you are a rec player with that aspiration of trying to get a little better, you've got to put in some
Mm-hmm.
time learning some shots or repeating just those basic shots that we all net all the time when it's so simple, but it's at just the wrong time when you might be able to win the point and you dink it right in the thing, or you're trying to roll it or flick it
Exactly.
and it just might not be the right time. For me personally, I still find myself slugging on the back line, for crying out loud. It should be on my forehead. Move your ass up to the kitchen line. Get up there. And I don't know why. I think it's still the tennis brain. I'm like, no, you got to stay back for a little bit. You're not volleying yet. I'm like, yes, you are. But talk about,
Yeah.
what you do and maybe some things people could pick up on when you're training, how you're learning a new shot. Go ahead, because I think it's very important for people to hear, and how you go about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like I mentioned, drilling is pretty much going to be the number one way to improve your game the quickest, whether or not you want to be a competitive player or whether or not you just want to be better at your local rec courts. And so it's really taking the time to think about, be intentional about the drilling. You know what I mean? It's not going to, every session should look different.
Okay.
And so breaking down, what skills you want to train in what day. Look up, plenty of us semi pro high 5-0 players and even fully pro professional players. You can find drills online. There exists. There's a reason people create this content, which is pretty neat in a sport as new as it is. So being intentional about your drilling, if you can, drilling with somebody who is a higher level player than you is
Okay.
going to be beneficial as
Yeah.
well. So, buy them lunch, thank them for spending time on court with you. But to see higher level shots when you're drilling and powerful shots, things like that
Yes.
are important too. So, yeah, I mean, really just breaking that down and setting aside the time. It can be easy to just go, we're going to drill, but we're getting sucked into a game over here or something like that. But, being
Super
intentional
easy.
about dedicating that time exactly to do so. And then also I would say recording yourself is super beneficial too. You might be hitting a shot and you think you're hitting it a certain way. You go back and look at film and you see, oh, that's why, my ball's going in the net, my paddle's flat, these different things, just to be able to go and analyze yourself. And it's fun. It shouldn't feel like homework. This is fun. We're all doing this to get better ourselves in whatever level. So yeah, I guess those would be my big major tips.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that for sure. And that has to go into off court training. I'm always amazed at, how people are staying fit, what people are eating. That's a big part of your own personal regimen. I mean, one of your handles out there on the IG is Lucah Fit. So
Yeah.
talk about, your approach there, and I'm going to hit you with some sneaky diet questions later, but how do we approach the diet? Do you stay strict in it? I think you do, but tell the people what you're eating. And then off the court, are we a big weight girl? Do we use more of a resistant band, stretching type of a focus with some light weights? Do you box? What do you do?
Yeah, I'll go into just a little bit of kind of what my journey has been. So I started right around the time that I started having more time for recreational pickleball after moving on from soccer is when I really started getting into the gym. I was kind of going through a weight loss after a weight gain through COVID and
Wait, you
started
gained weight
realizing that
during COVID? Were you just inside eating all the time? Wait a second. Did that happen to people?
yeah, I know I must be the first, but I overcame it. I figured it out. I didn't do it the easiest way possible, but I learned a lot. And so right around that time is when I started falling in love with the gym. I started working at that gym, became friends with personal trainers, and so they taught me a lot about building muscle and how important nutrition was in that. So then for the last, let's see, it's been about 2.5, I think, years now is when I've pretty much been following like a more of a bodybuilding regimen. And so that has changed more so in the last year because of pickleball. But in that first year and a half, I spent learning about nutrition and learning about the way the body works. And so then when pickleball came into my life in a more serious way, I was already fit. Fitness has been a commitment I have already made to myself. So it wasn't like I needed to start figure,
It
there was
was
nothing new about my routine that needed to change besides adding pickleball
Yeah, adding
to the
pickleball
mix.
to you already had dialed in, hey, I'm going to the gym here, I'm doing these things, I'm learning how to eat the right way. Now that I add pickleball in, you mentioned I think a little bit, has that kind of changed the approach in the gym and how we train to be more pickle agile, more, more I would say court fit.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely has. It's a combination of that and then also realizing the importance of recovery, which unfortunately I didn't before. I was 19, 20, 21
Bulletproof.
thinking my body can just do whatever, and I am still super young. I'm sure people might laugh at this, but it's true. I mean, my body feels older in some ways
Well, I think
because I haven't taken care of
people
things.
talk about what we're getting into right now all the time and the importance of that recovery, even in a game like pickleball, any game that you're doing consistently. You're putting your body through the paces because you're training, you're playing, you're already staying fit with other things that you do. What is your approach to the recovery? Are we a cold plunge? How do we do it?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten into the cold plunge that whole wave yet, but it really has showed its importance. Definitely stretching is number one, before being on court and in the gym, both before and after. I love those compression sleeves, things like that, massage guns. But like I said, there's definitely more that I can be doing to benefit my own recovery. And so I'm hoping to find a place here in San Diego. There's some places back in Arizona that I would be at if I still lived there that have kind of been making more of a name for themselves recently. So I wish that those are some things that I could implement. Definitely some important next steps for me. But as far as nutrition goes, it's pretty much the same. I think it's the biggest thing I focus on is basically getting enough protein, not just with a goal of gaining muscle, because I feel like I'm at a point where I'm not looking to put a bunch more muscle on my body. I've spent the last 2.5 years doing that, going through cuts and bulks, just unofficially and on my own. I've trained myself the whole time, just self-learned, and so that's why I feel like at this point I know it works pretty well for my body. So just making sure that I have now, if I'm going to be doing as much cardio, being on court,
Yeah.
keep making sure that I am fueling myself properly in the same way I would be fueling myself for a lift. But there's just important things to think about as far as the certain nutrients you are putting in your body to avoid things like cramping,
Yeah.
not having crashes in the middle of a session. So, yeah, a combination of recovery and doing more resistance type of training, more explosive movements, training those fast twitch muscles. I think I've really adapted that in my training. Even if it's doing a lift with a weight, the way you lift the weight, you can alter based on your specific goals. And so that's been really fun in the last year, getting to kind of explore that.
That's well said. And I think one of the most important things you said is figuring out what works for your body or my body. So many people,
Yeah.
unfortunately, run out there and try to copy what X person does or Y person does or T person does. And that might not be the best for their body. It might be a combination of what some of those workouts are and what some of the diet is. So I think I encourage people, and if they're able to get maybe some professional, helps or talking to from nutritionalists and people in the gym, I think that's a great way to go. And the one easiest thing everybody can do is stretch a little bit before you play and stretch a little bit after you play. I'm telling you, as a distinguished player myself, it's going to help you out a lot.
Yeah.
Having a lot of fun
Yeah.
with Lucah
Exactly.
Fulton here on the court. Let's shift the gears a little bit and talk about where are we going with pickleball? What are our future aspirations? What our next tournament might be? How serious are we going? Do we want to continue to climb the pro ladder?
Here, sorry. Well, you might have to cut this part out. I just need to get a good angle.
You're good.
Can you see? Here. There we go. Better?
Yep. Yep, that's good.
Yeah, so as far as next steps go, like I've reiterated multiple times so far, you learn a lot of lessons just being on this journey. With sport, as new as this is, as little money as there is basically across the board, you have to, I'm learning how to be sensible about, what makes sense for those next steps. I spent this entire last year traveling to tournaments, completely paying for everything out of pocket with no sponsorships and no help. And so I gained a lot from that, as far as tournament experience and networking and the connections and life experience and travel and being able to manage a busy schedule and do something new. All of those things are beneficial, but the financial piece does have to come into play.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of decided, I haven't done a lot of coaching either, so I think that's definitely an area that I can expand upon and do want to expand upon. But I do want to keep competing. I don't want to throw myself at any tournament. I want to, be sensible about who I'm choosing to partner with, people who are in the same space and mindset kind of that I am, and being dedicated to giving everything I have, ideally like to one tournament a month. I think that certain tours are more beneficial for semi-pro players versus other tours. And so,
You want to throw out
like
any
I
three
said, finding
letters
somebody.
before another one?
I mean, I think I can see myself hopefully playing more APP tournaments than PPAs, which is kind of how it was in this previous year. But now being in California, there's some other much large tournaments that are put on, money balls, things like that.
Yes.
And so I'm really interested in getting into that scene here in California, continuing to network. But I would love to, be somebody in the space. I guess my end goal isn't necessarily to be the Anna Leigh Waters of pickleball. I'm not looking, it's like the sport has been in my life for so long, and I enjoy being competitive, and I would love to continue to do that. And I would also like to be able to make a career out of it in some form or another. I'm about to graduate with my bachelor's degree in May in strategic communication. Almost done. So, that's PR, marketing, advertising, social media management. And if I could end up working in the pickleball space, whether that be creating my own content, creating maybe my own podcast or show one day,
What?
or just
No.
doing
Come on
something.
my show. Team up with me.
Yeah, right, we can, exactly. But just being able to stay in the space and keep it fun for myself is super important. I think mentally, my mental game is where I struggle the most. And so working on that simultaneously, as well as looking to just expand the horizons outside of just thinking about winning or losing a tournament and getting points on a tour. It's bigger than
Yeah.
that to me.
No, I think you've got a great outlook. I think that's a humble approach and, not afraid to say, hey, I've gained some valuable experience from these past, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12 months being out there, grinding it, doing it. Playing tournament pickleball isn't cheap, folks. And when you're footing your own bill, remember, you're traveling, you're staying, plus you're paying the fees. Tournaments are long days. Go to one just to be a spectator and look at the players. Just kind of watch how they've got to scuttle around and shuffle around. And it's just true. There's a grind to it. And as the sport continues to grow, maybe there'll be some more payouts, right? They just had the big MLP finals, and people were talking about all the money that the players were making from the MLP finals. I heard different. Hey, I hope they did. And maybe we'll start to see money come back from the sport. The sport itself, though, has still got to continue to get a foothold, as a sport. And I think where you mentioned, can you carve out a niche for yourself because you are a good player? Could you give some of that back teaching and find some of those other ways to truly make a career out of it? I'm pretty sure you can. And I think you're well on your way. And I really appreciate you joining me here on the court. Before I let you go, we're going to do a little speed 'em up rounds. Now, one thing we talked about is, hey, if we want to see Lucah with some more maybe tournament play, who's out there to help? Are we still without a sponsor? Have we found a sponsor? Where are we at with sponsors?
So thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about that. I'm super pleased and just super excited to officially this month be partnered and sponsored by Centerline Athletics and
All
Chevile
right.
Apparel. I'm wearing one of Chevile's little crew necks as well, professional Dave
Love it.
Maker.
Like it.
they're an amazing team. They originally brought me on in an influencer role for social media, but now I'm recently officially sponsored by them. And so this is my first financial compensation for
How
in the
exciting is
pickleball
that,
space.
right? I mean, that's got to feel
I'm
pretty
pretty,
damn good. Yeah.
because it's been a long road. I mean, I think back to August. Like August is when my eyes widened, and I made the quick decision to move to Scottsdale just to put myself in the pickleball space.
Right.
Witnessed everybody around me either be sponsored or just I was gaining an understanding, and I knew that I had to be patient, and I knew that I wasn't at a place where that made sense yet, and that was fine. And so it is super rewarding to have my first sponsorship as a athletic wear sponsorship, but I am still currently unsponsored as far as paddles go. And so been in the just trying to put my neck out there
All
and
right.
try to just make connections and continue getting to know people and just make the best decision for me right now. I think that it's a little bit tricky when taking into consideration some of these super hot paddles that are coming out right now, Eula, Gearbox, etc. Some of these just super hot paddles where you just feel like you're playing a different game on court using a more traditional paddle. And
Yeah.
so right now I'm just kind of trying to weigh the balance, pros and cons, kind of between settling for, great people, average paddles, financial compensation,
Yeah.
or no compensation in that realm, but able to use a paddle with some higher technology. My mind is definitely open. I'm not set on anything, but that definitely it's what's the financial piece of it is what's holding me back
Okay.
from a lot of opportunity right now. And so just,
Fair enough. And
head down, keep moving forward.
as many times as I've seen pros at a high level wax poetic about the current paddle they have, only 6 months later to have a new one, I think it's fair for you to figure out, hey, what's going to work and what's going to work for both parties, and have a long-standing like relationship in that regard. And you can both really help each other out over the long term, because even if you're off court, still sponsored by a paddle, there's a lot of good work you can do in communities and for the paddles. So awesome stuff. I know we're running a little long, so buckle up. Here we go. We're going to jump right into it. You're 22 years old. We're going to graduate from college here soon. But first, I have to ask you, did you go to prom?
No.
Damn it.
COVID took my prom away. I graduated high school in 2020, and I had waited. It was a senior only prom, and so I had waited all 4 years, and I was so excited, and I never ever got a prom. It's like,
and so there was no
it's
promposal.
hard. No promposal, no
Darn
prom
it.
queen, nothing.
I wanted the promposal story. Okay, then. Dream promposal. What would it have been? What would the guy have done to really just make you melt?
Maybe something like related to my athletics. Maybe like doing something for me before or after a game. I guess it would have been in the spring, so that would have been softball.
Okay. He comes out and
Something
like
related to that would have been fun.
what's the baseball movie show? And now I can't think of it. Tom Hanks was in the movie. What if he dressed in one of their uniforms and came out? Proposal.
Yeah,
I don't know.
definitely something dramatic.
She's
I'm not one to shy away from attention.
very
Something that
fun.
would have been showy, flashy, I would have probably been about it. You get only one of them.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. All right. Last TV show you binge watched.
I think it was, oh my gosh, what's it called? Look, now we both can't remember.
Was it Outer
I
Banks on
actually don't,
Netflix?
no, it was not, but it's going to come to me. But one I did definitely binge watch was Criminal Minds. That's one of my OG shows.
I
I
am a
actually
Criminal
don't watch a
Minds
lot of
fan. That's a good
TV,
one.
so I can't say I have even watched a series recently because I think, like,
I think
people
your
watch.
schedule, has precluded you from maybe,
Well, I'm
doing
on
a
my
little TV.
phone. I'm on my phone too
Yeah.
much.
All right. What is your go-to junk food when it's time to just let it loose? What are we having?
I mean, probably like a burger and fries.
Nothing
Just
more
can't.
severe than that. Just a burger and fries. No, bag of like
We're going.
hot Cheetos or something. Come on, dig deep.
No, see, I didn't grow. My mom didn't let me have a lot of that in the house growing up, so that's
Just
never been like.
cake batter out of the deal. The girls I went to high school with just used to go cookie dough and cake batter straight out of the thing.
See, I don't. It's. I don't know. I think either ice cream and brownie, an ice cream and brownie combo. I mean, that's never ever missing. I
That's a
will
walk
put
off.
that away any day. You have your sweet and your salty. I'd say, something oily, salty, or my ice cream and brownie.
Love it. Love it. Snakes or spiders?
Snakes all day. All day.
Scariest snake you've seen for real?
Probably the one that bit me when I was like 5.
Was it like
I
a
picked up a garter snake. It's like those are harmless, but I picked it up and I never forgot that. I got the 2 little bite marks on my finger. I was in like kindergarten.
you don't even know it's biting you until you look over and it's biting you and you're like,
Yeah, pretty much. But I'm still not. Spiders just will never ever work for me. I mean, they can stay outside and take care of everything else, but
are you a muscle car girl or speed car girl?
I'd say speed. Definitely speed. I drive this little Nissan Versa like it's a race car, so
So would you go for
one of them too.
Ferrari or Lamborghini?
Ferrari.
Nice. Okay. Favorite, or I should say dream destination?
Dream destination. As of now, probably Thailand.
Ooh, very cool. That would be cool. I have not been to Thailand, so plus for you, celebrity crush right now.
Ooh, I mean, Michael B. Jordan. He's never going away. Like,
what if he asked you to prom? What if he, asked you to go to a redo? Yes, prom redux. Michael B. Jordan. He probably listens to this show. I'm sure he does with his friends. He's going to hear about it.
Michael B. Jordan, if you're listening, take me to prom.
We got to make it happen. We got to make it happen. All right. If you could have a superpower for one day only, what would it be?
Be able to fly.
Okay. It's a great power.
I know, I've had dreams about it. I know there's superpowers that would be way better, but if you only get one chance, man, I would just want to be able to take off.
Yeah. You could zip around all day, go wherever the heck you want. I love it. Super fun having Lucah here on the court, Pickle with Mickle interview series. I really appreciate you making some time for me. Go ahead and plug that sponsor again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. I want to shout out Centerline Athletics and Chevile for all of their support. If you haven't already, go check them out. There's a link in my bio at lucah.fit or Lucah Pearl on Instagram. They're amazing, just the best people. I'm so thrilled to be on their team. And for you for having me on today. Thank you so much.
Lucah, what an absolute pleasure. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for the time. Follow Lucah on social at lucah.fit. Check out this and all of my amazing interviews on YouTube at The Mickle Pod and Pickle with Mickle. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, The Mickle Pod. Stay safe out there. Stay hydrated. I'll see y'all next time for more